there, Jeremy Weiss here, contributing editor of hockeyplayer.com, and real glad to be here today to be able to talk a little bit about the S3 formula, which is a web-based strength and conditioning hockey training program that I recently created. Over the past 15 to 20 years, the game of hockey has changed drastically, and what used to be enough to get by just doesn't cut it anymore. Players of today are better schooled, they're better technically, they're bigger, they're faster, they're stronger, and so in order to be a top caliber player, today's players have to do more. Now when I say that today's player needs to do more, I'm not talking about more practice time or game time or on ice time. In fact, the way that hockey's going right now, it seems like almost like we're getting less and less ice time. So what I'm talking about are things that players need to be doing, can and should be doing off the ice that will give them an edge over their opponent. I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and as many young Canadians do, grew up playing a ton of hockey from a pretty young age. And when I was about 13 years old, kind of got introduced to weight training. And I immediately felt the improvements in my own game and my physical strength, but I also felt an additional confidence level. And it felt really good for me, so I continued pretty faithfully in the weight room throughout most of junior high and high school. After high school, I went on to play a couple years junior A, again back in Toronto. And that's when I kind of had this little bit of an eye-opening experience for me. And it was at that time that I realized that, I'm sitting here, I'm playing at a pretty decent level of hockey. There are a ton of guys, from my team and from other teams in the league moving on to, full ride Division I NCAA scholarships and all that good stuff. And as good as that hockey was, in as good of a hockey town as I was playing in, I was the only player on my team that was in the weight room with any form of consistency at all, at least during the 2 years that I was there. And so that was where I kind of had this eye-opening experience and eye-opening realization that there is a huge opportunity to gain an advantage over your opponent if you follow a structured off-ice strength and conditioning program, and especially if it's a hockey-specific off-ice strength and conditioning program. I actually went on to university and ended up majoring in exercise science. Now, with my athletic and sporting background that I had, exercise science was just right up my alley. I mean, it was a lot of fun. I learned a ton of stuff, and as I was going through my courses, I'd pick out little bits and pieces of information and be like, you know what, that could really apply to hockey. So I started making little tweaks and adjustments to my own workouts, and testing out these new training methods on myself. And not only did I test them on myself, but then I paid really close attention to how I felt on the ice. And lo and behold, my university education was actually worth something. These tweaks and adjustments I was making actually worked really, really well. So as I progressed through my university career, I had a few opportunities to do some bigger projects. And one of my big term projects that that I had the opportunity to work on was I developed a strength and conditioning, hockey-specific strength and conditioning program for young athletes. And part of the course requirements was that that I got 3 or 4 young athletes and put them through my training program. So I was able to do just that. I took them, tested them, made sure I got all the baseline scores, and then put them through this strength training program. And the results that they had were just unbelievable. So these kids, not only did they really increase their strength, speed, and size, but like I said earlier, it was one of those things where you even saw some confidence. Some of those intrinsic factors like confidence, leadership ability, all of those intrinsic factors also improved. And it was just a big difference in their actual on-ice performance. So it was kind of one of those things where one thing kind of led to another, and pretty soon other parents started noticing the improvements that these players were making. And before long, it wasn't too long before I had a number of different parents approaching me about working with their kids as well, and and training their kids in the process as well. So jumping forward a couple years, I actually started dabbling in a little bit of online video stuff, and that's where I started up my drills and skills blog. Now, 2 of the very early posts that I put on that blog were a couple of my favorite off-ice training drills, which was the dot drill, which is a great agility drill, and the plyometric box routine, which is another one of my favorite explosive speed drills. And just had a really overwhelming response. It was actually kind of neat. We had people that tested those drills out, had some great success with them, a couple people that wanted some more stuff, and that's where I kind of started realizing, there might be something to this, this web-based training atmosphere. So that's where I started coming up with the vision of the S3 formula.